Taylor blowing her nose. I was like,
I was watching you outing me.
you were like,
Timing is just right. It said 3, 2, 1, the tissue was gone.
oh my gosh, what a professional. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Royalty Podcast here on the Heavy Crown Network, where myself, Hannah, and my little sister, Simone, have been recapping The Amazing Race season 38 from week to week. You guys, we have two very special guests on this episode. Obviously, I played Big Brother with this person, so he's known me for a majority of my adult life, and he's also known Simone for the entirety of her adult life. We have Kyland Young from season 23 of Big Brother, and we have his better half, if you're asking me. We have Taylor Hale, the winner of season 24, as well as the first person to ever win the game and also win AFP. You guys saw it. They were a powerhouse dynamic duo this season, and we can't wait to get all the behind the scenes tea, any funny stories you guys want to share, anything that maybe didn't make the episode, anything you guys want to clarify. So thank you so much for coming on this podcast with myself and Simone. You know, we love talking to you guys whenever we get the chance to.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
This is so fun. I mean, Simone, I've known you since like the day or maybe the day after I got out the Big Brother house. And it's just really cool having this little pod of people that I love and care about all finally being in one place.
I know. Isn't that actually crazy that I think I met both of you guys the days you got out of like each of your houses, which is crazy. And I still remember those days like so vividly. Oh. That's actually so crazy. That was like when I was a teenager and everything, and Hannah
my
was younger
God.
than how old I am now. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, Kyland, I was 2 years younger than Simone is now when I played Big Brother.
Yeah, that's
Is that
crazy.
crazy?
When
No,
did that happen?
I know.
no crazy to just be in the
How-
house.
And why did you guys speak to me? I would have been like, you're a child, go home. Where's your mom? Now I get it. Now that I'm a little older, I understand. Okay, so anyway, enough about me and enough about Simone and enough about our ages. Let's get into The Amazing Race. So Taylor and Kyland, you guys were a bit of a unique pairing in the sense that both of you have a history of competing on multiple reality shows. So can you guys kind of talk about how training for this was different than training for the challenge in Kyland's case or reindeer games in Taylor's case, and what you guys did to prepare?
I mean, you know, reindeer games training was just like the most intense training ever. So I really had to change my strategy this time. I think like the biggest thing for this one is that you are reliant on your partner. And so I think famously Kyland trains like probably harder than anybody else for the challenge. And then I have historically, like I go all in on prepping for these shows. I'm sure like everyone here does, because if someone tells you have a shot at getting $750,000 in 3 months, you're going to put your all into it. Or at least, you know, if you're smart, you'll put your all into it. But when you are on the one side so accustomed to training in the way that's best for you, now you have to adapt to, okay, what are our strengths and weaknesses as a pair? And how do we best lean into our strengths and then train up our weaknesses? And how do we now divvy out where our strengths and weaknesses are, where we lean on each other, rely on each other, yada, yada. And then there's the added layer of, you know, this is not a secret, but like we had just tried to break up like the minutes before getting the phone call, basically. And
Which is very much news to me, because I think that that's something that Taylor was mentioning, and I was just like, oh, I feel like a heartbreaking conversation isn't the same as making a decision as far as what we're doing. So I think that's something that is, you know, we're catching it here, the exclusive.
We are starting off the bang. Starting off
the bang.
Big D, if you're listening, make sure you title the no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. But the point is, we had like a really, really heartbreaking conversation. And it's like, walk separate ways, get the phone call. Hey, I think, you know, casting, hey, I think I can actually, you know, get the Amazing Race people to be open to you and Kyland being a pair. I was like, oh, no way. Let me call him and see what's up. And that led to us having a conversation of like, okay, if we are going to do this, we are really going to go all in on like not just using this as a way to train to, be super competitors, whatever. Like both of us, either of us can be super competitors no matter who we're next to. If we're doing this, we're going to use this as a tool to navigate our communication and our relationship and just kind of like navigate that. And that led to us being in a better, happier place. So it's funny because a lot of the pairs that are in here, they're either dating. It was Kat and Alex were dating for they've been dating for years now, engaged or married, or siblings, or mother-daughter and father-daughter.
Yeah, blood relatives.
Yeah, or relatives, blood relatives. So then you have us, which is like the couple trying to figure it out and compete for $1 million. So there's just a lot of different layers that we had to navigate, that we were excited to navigate, but just in a way that nobody else kind of had to.
I think the benefits of being, a team of two people who had gotten to compete on shows before were equalized with the fact that we had the least stable relationship in history going in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something.
Not in history.
What did someone say?
The least stable relationship in history.
Oh, maybe not in history.
No, and history going in.
Oh, and history. I said
And
history.
Sorry.
And history. I apologize.
I was like, I
Let
don't
me
know.
try and enunciate like the Chaddhas do.
Oh my God.
That is something I've been told. We really do pronounce every single syllable.
No, it's
I'm gonna try
excellent.
to stop doing that. No, that's
Oh,
not.
really?
No, it's
you?
clear. It's
Because you're
clear.
from Michigan. Like, I know that I say and like I say my A's very heavy.
I do. Sometimes it comes out a little bit even weirder. Like I'll have to stop myself and be like, "Whoa!" Like no, go back.
Yeah.
Hi.
Wait, Taylor, this is offhand, and then we'll get back to the Amazing Race. Say EGG.
Oh boy, like the word.
Word. Yeah.
I was about to just spell it for you. Okay, egg.
Oh, she does
Yeah.
say egg. Do you
I
say
don't know, but
egg?
instead of milk, I say milk.
Oh, yes. Classic Michigander.
Say BAG.
Bag.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, no, you say that.
No,
it
but
is only, like,
that's more Minnesota, Wisconsin has or higher Western and Northern Michigan. They have the stronger accents.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, I feel like in the
Egg and milk.
Mansell, she has a very thick Midwest accent.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Amazing Race. Kyland, that is a conversation that you and I recently had because I realized I had never asked you, I guess, how did you feel like you and Taylor having this experience on reality TV helped you or hurt you? And you were the one who pointed out, yes, to some extent it was beneficial, but because we were perhaps the newest dynamic walking into this season, most of us have known each other our whole lives or at least 5 years. That was a disadvantage. And so, as you just said so succinctly, it ended up equalizing. Wait, okay, I think that might be my laptop.
Oh, was yikes!
Not again. Wait, do you have headphones? What about
It was
headphones?
not my laptop last time, Kyland. It was not. It was Ozza's. It was.
Yeah. Y'all got rickety tech.
Wait, do you have headphones?
Yeah. You said what?
Do you have headphones?
I do have headphones, but they don't work currently.
Real.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are they AirPod Pro Maxes? Because fuck those headphones.
No, they're not sponsored by Air Pro Max.
Nope.
Okay. So we keep getting sidetracked.
Oh, yeah. I was
Yes,
going to
yes,
say,
yes,
I
yes.
have headphones too, but one of them is broken.
Oh, well, we
Yeah.
can't use those.
Oh.
Okay.
Benji, put it down. Put it down. My dirty underwear. He's always in my dirty underwear. Dogs are gross. Dogs are so gross.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one. Okay, this past episode is going to be all over the place. So, viewers, I am so sorry.
Like the
Just
leg.
start out with that sentence. He's always in my dirty underwear. And then
That's like the clickbait thing that
Well,
was
that's
on
the title of the
Instagram
episode.
trailer.
Big D's going to have a plethora of titles to choose from. Anyway. Okay, Simone, do you want to ask the next question while I let my laptop rest for a second?
Yes. Okay, so one thing that we always ask Slash one thing that we always start out the pod with asking is, how did each member of the pair train? And especially since you guys are both local to LA, did you guys find yourselves training together or training separately and then meeting together on occasion? What was your whole process leading up to actually embarking to Amsterdam like?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that we came together. I feel like one of the conversations that we had with, Jesse, casting director, and some of the production crew was, or the producers and everybody when we did our interviews was like, hey, it was like, hey, she's gonna teach me how to win. I'm gonna teach her how to compete, and that's what we worked on together. Is because like that, and I appreciate kind of her, giving that sentiment as far as like, yeah, like that's what I like to do, and I've done well, not well enough to win, but like well enough to have really good records and all the things I compete in. So it was watching, all of the seasons and then dissecting like the different skill sets because it's such a varied thing. Like the race is unlike anything else. It's not as broad of a category that you can train for. So, and it really is like even, more fitting of the unexpected, like of it's unexpected and the unknown. And so I think that when we started training, we're like, okay, we want to make sure that we have, a baseline of like fitness. Like Taylor didn't run prior to last year. Um, she said ran like a mile a couple of times in her life, or if that. And
If that.
so that, yeah, so that was like okay, a factor. And then we went and did the learning how to drive stick shift because neither one of us knew how to do that, and we wanted to make sure that like okay, if I'm gonna drive, I had like more focused training on that, but both of us knew how to just in case to be kind of adaptable if needed. And then just figuring out like, refining like a little bit of the languages that we had some background in and countries and geography and all the things. And one thing that was a real struggle was that Taylor got so good at like reading maps. And then I think we had maps 2 times like the entire season. So and the
and only
yeah.
one of them was actually useful.
That you were
Yes, exactly. They played us with the Netherlands map, and I really do feel like, which is maybe another conversation topic. I really do feel like there was prior to meeting us some preconceived notions or upsetness with having Big Brother cast on their show. And they really were. I think that's why you could see that we probably had, I don't know, 70 to 80% of the budget that most seasons tend to have. And they coined this European adventure as far as, hey, you guys are just staying in Europe. Like that didn't sound as good, so they tried to make it sound fun. Because even at the end, when Phil, that's why I was cracking up when Phil brought in Jag and Jazz at the finish line. He doesn't even do even though we went to different countries, I was like waiting the whole time, like, oh, you in 11 countries and 27,000 miles or whatever it was, and doesn't do that. And so I think so many parts where they didn't. So that was my tangent on the maps, because that very first map they gave us for the Netherlands was a map of the country and not, so it just had a couple of the major freeways, none of the streets. So we're like, oh, you guys really just tried to set us up, like to think that, try to set us up. Hey, I know you guys did Big Brother, but like this is, going to be hard. It's just like, well, yeah, because I thought we looked at the map and thought it was what we needed, but it wasn't. So, and they did it to prove challenging, obviously, for us to navigate that first day. And unfortunately, the design of the race, that was really hard to come back from as we had to experience.
But you guys did come back from it. And yeah, that first leg was a fever dream, I think, because we went from not sleeping Saturday night, since that's when we left. Sunday was a travel day. I'm sure we probably didn't sleep on the plane because of the nerves and the adrenaline. And we went straight into racing on Monday. So I'm sure it was a combination of like sleep deprivation, food deprivation, and then being thrust into that environment. But yeah, I remember that map so vividly.
Yes.
I also remember checking in and being like, if this is the race, just send me home now because I don't know how to read it. Simone and I didn't grow up with maps. I think, we've been telling everyone this story because Simone and I, like, yes, we trained for the race, but we also did not really anticipate that we would be leaving for the race. And I was studying for my big step 1 board exam. And so that was my priority. Like, school is always going to be my
As it
priority.
should be.
And
Right.
the race was kind of like, if I have free time from 4 to 6, then we should do something. So Simone and I would print out a map and we'd be like, what are we supposed to do with this? Because we only know the iPhone. And then we would like circle, I don't know, a Target or something in like a certain town. And then we would attempt to drive to it. And then we would see a coffee shop and we'd be like, actually, let's just stop and get coffee. And then that would be our day. So
Quite literally.
Mind you, we went to like, God, where did we go, Kyland? Seattle, San Diego,
San Francisco, San Diego.
Oh my gosh.
LA. Yeah, like we had mocked up practice legs or like
sometimes just with ourselves, sometimes with friends or family.
Yeah, and we would like sit like we were driving on The Amazing Race. Like he would drive and I would navigate from the back seat like we were on the show. Like, and we would literally, and Kylan just posted one of the places that we went to, we'd be racing against, friends or family. And every location we had to go to, we'd take a selfie and then send it and then open up the next clue, go to the next place. So like we really tried to make it like a realistic, immersive experience because we were in it. We were really in it.
Yeah,
no, for
sure.
sure.
You guys killed in the finale.
Exactly. Like that is to be expected from a team like you two. You guys are very competitive. From living with Kyland, I know how much he invests his blood, sweat, and tears into anything he's training for. And Taylor, I know you're the same way, regardless of whether it's a pageant or a show. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Simone, you and I should have definitely done a little more of that, but
I know, right?
we really did not think we were
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So it's wild to know that you were phony in this prep, only to be upset at not getting the express pass. Knowing that, I'm just saying.
Oh, wait, what do you mean? I think we should be rewarded for minimal effort. That is how the United States of America works. Look at our president.
Yeah.
No lies here on that.
See, I was just trying to step into my white man era, getting rewarded for doing nothing.
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
I actually was not going to bring up the Express Pass because I feel like we've belabored it. You guys have talked about it on so many podcasts. I've definitely said my piece whenever I see you guys in person. So there's really no point unless you guys have anything else you want to add about it.
The only thing I would
sorry.
add on that. Sorry.
Can I just ask you
one?
Yeah.
So sorry.
How did you guys feel when you ended up winning the Express Pass? Because that was the very first challenge that we competed in. Were you guys on a high? Did you feel like you now had an additional target? What was going through your heads?
Both.
Yeah, both. I think it was less like the moment of winning the Express Pass because we got there, we got into the arena first, but we missed the first few attempts. And by the time we did our first 2 or 3 attempts, we missed it. Everybody was there, so we kind of
we made like the third, but didn't follow that was our clue instruction because we didn't wait for them to say go. We lined up and then pushed. I think Joseph and them, they said, or somebody else did the same thing.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
So
we were hyped. We got it. Yeah, but
yeah, we were excited because we got it, but we got it outside the rules, so we had to keep going, and everyone else was in there. So like, I'm not gonna say we didn't think we were gonna get it first, but like, we lost that comfort. So getting it first, it was just like, oh my God, this is awesome! Like, this feels really good. But what they don't show is, oh my God, like when we took all our gear off and we ran to the car, I left the clue on the table with all of the gear. And so we're like, okay, we need to go to this next destination. And we still have the clue for the last one. We're like, oh my God, I thought you had the clue. I thought you had the clue. So we had to run back in there. That's how Ken and Alex got to the start line before us. So we had to go back and get the clue and leave. But then, like Kylan was just saying, we've watched so many previous seasons of The Amazing Race to prep for this. So when Phil first said, you have another Express Pass to give out, in my head, I'm thinking, we're not going to have to give this out until like 2 legs from now. Or, we can give it out whenever we want. And he goes, you have to do it right now. And I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. This is awful and annoying. And why would you put me on the spot now? Like, put us on the spot now. This sucks. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we made this decision that we could have with just like the little information and just like minuscule strategy that we were trying to do. But, I think in the end, it worked out the best way it could have for us. And like, it sucks at the end of all of it. Like, you have to do the best thing for yourself as a team, no matter how much you love like other people. So,
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say on the Express Fest that I think stands out to me as far as like the design of the race, and I've said extensively, just how the race historically has done, I think, a pretty decent job of creating, equitable, pre-COVID at least, creating equitable situations where like most of the winners have been the male female duos, and I think that like as we've seen, kind of that's shifted significantly in these last several years, and I do feel like our year was another one of those times to where I was talking to someone and they brought up about how they're like, yeah, like the thing about the Express Fest, if Chaddha's had it, they would have gone out the next leg with the way Christine Rubina did, just because that leg would have resulted in you two of your guys' size trying to move a boat that's the size of a car that I was struggling with, that Paige and Izzy rowing together were struggling with, or moving a wheelbarrow full of bags of salt that weigh more than you two combined, and or at least close to one of you. And I think that's just like such a I think that just that I was saying the Express Press conversation triggered that thought of like, wow, like that's actually kind of crazy that like it wouldn't even have had the opportunity to impact the game that significantly. But more than likely just be based on talking to Christine and Rubina about their experience with that leg and how challenging it was for them, and knowing your guys' similar stature. And so it is just kind of a crazy thing that like I do, I'm sure is acknowledged, it felt acknowledged at least by the production in our conversations that we had with them, and hopefully something that they continue to take note of and work on. Because I think it would be cool when we see like the Candy Girls in their season, the Candy Scientists, like win because it was made in the, at least there was that opportunity
yeah.
to, and I think that seeing those sort of opportunities is something that is, I think, makes the show really great in the past, and want to see more of.
I agree. And I think when certain people raise their voices about the lack of equity on The Amazing Race, especially on this season, like we really saw that with most of the all-female teams going home back to back to back. What I don't mean is I want to see less physical competitions. Like I think that's fair game. What I particularly mean, and I think what a lot of us probably share is that, like, if you are going to put a physical comp in there, then you adjust things based on weight class, based on height class, like they do in wrestling, I'm pretty sure. Um, just because I saw a few comments on Twitter, like, well, it wouldn't be The Amazing Race if it was just all mental. That I don't think that's what anyone's asking. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I think comments on Twitter is boo, ew, yuck.
Yes,
Well,
but that is part of how I kind of gauge how the fandom feels about the show. Like
I would,
that's what I've seen out there. So I just wanted to respond to that.
I would slightly like counter in the sense of I do think just creating small pivots. I've talked a little bit with Danny from season 36, I believe, because he's like a super fan, watches the international versions, and he was commenting on how like not necessarily making those changes, only because we think about contestants like Corey and Rob, his dad was deaf, and how how like there's no adjustments made for him as far as like him coming in with that disability, or people that have come in with whether it's the diabetes or anything else. Obviously, they had that one situation with the moving Adam into the shade that one time. But in general, like I don't even know if it is. I'm sure that there's opportunities for adjustment, but I could still see like pushback on that from someone like an Adam or someone like a Rob. But I do still feel like just a greater conversation about how to design the race, which really just in line with the way that they have been designed it in the past. And I don't know what's shifted. Like I said, like kind of the post-COVID era, but uh, maybe Danny has a lot of thoughts on it as far as like, because he was racing with his mom and he was talking about, and I think that is an interesting thing because I've, on the challenge, for example, like I could see, I know if I'm working when the pairs I've had, it has been, if I'm working with a female partner, a male female team, then everyone else is a male female team. In those scenarios that I've been in, but in working in this group, it's so hard for someone to recognize, because I was like, no, it's not like a, it's not a complaint. It's not and honestly, I don't think it had any impact in the final leg at all. But just seeing little things like, oh, the women's costumes are more complex to change in and out of. And that's a really easy fix that they could just be like, hey, everyone has to spend 5 minutes changing clothes or whatever, or something like that. And it just was interesting to witness, like, the inequity in those little moments that isn't like, isn't a cry out for, justice. It's just maybe a cry out for more attention to these details that would be simple fixes just for fairness.
I agree. I think Izzy and Paige, when we spoke to them, pointed out how, and Taylor, you probably felt this too, having to learn the can dance because you learned with the skirt on and your teacher had a skirt on. And so it was harder to see their feet. And that's obviously a crucial part of doing the can. It's mostly footwork. So
we had a male instructor, but I still, like, he had to teach me separate skirt choreography for the whole dance. And then, as Kyland was just saying, he was already downstairs waiting for me, changed fully in the costume, and they had to take my braids and put it up in the bun and put the headpiece on, and there were like 3 different layers to just the bottom half of the Moulin Rouge costume. And like, it's up my alley. Like, I love stuff like that. But when you are in a race for $1 million and 2 of the other teams are all male teams, they just put on pants, a shirt, and a vest. You're like, okay, cool. I'll go take this 20 minutes. 20 minutes is, yeah, it's exaggeration, but like, let me go take the 20 minutes it takes to get this Moulin Rouge outfit on, and I'll meet you down there, I guess.
yes. And something else that I think it was Izzy and Paige pointed out is how at some of the challenges, you know how like the go-karts, for example, there were other people racing, like locals that they hired to race alongside the contestants. All of them were men. And so that kind of begs the question, like, did you even test this with a woman? I don't know.
Like,
I don't
test
know.
dummies in cars. Women more
Yeah,
like fly in cars if they don't test female test dummies.
exactly. So yeah, that's definitely a larger conversation that I hope continues and doesn't just stop with this season. It was super apparent on this season, and that was probably my only qualm about this whole experience. Just because, like, that's not under our control. And so if we're really trying as hard as we can, and yet there are these factors that are out of our hands that are actively working against us, it sucks, and I know Simone and I aren't the only team that felt that way.
Yeah.
Wait, my mic, I'm sorry. Hold, please. Okay, we're back.
Oh, those.
Kind of pivoting away, I want to talk about some of your guys's highlights. So when I say, like, what is one moment that you think will stick with you for the rest of your lives? And that can be an individual moment, that can be a moment that you shared together. Actually, I want to hear both, because the whole point of this podcast is to kind of reflect on your guys' journey overall, and end on a really positive note.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Are you muted? Am I the only one not muted right now?
No, I unmute. I have some, but I would love if you have something.
No, you go.
Please.
You have it more readily available. Go for it.
Okay, well, I think the
I know
2
we're
that
probably
I'm sent up from. Oh, what?
Sorry, I was saying I know there's one we'll probably have the same answer for, but go ahead. I want you to go first.
Okay. I mean, obviously for myself, the can in Moulin Rouge was very, like, a big moment. It really did. Um, I don't know. It did feel like I was overcoming something, like struggling something, in a sense that when I felt that intense fear that I see in people that are doing heights challenges that have these fear of heights. And that's kind of how I felt, because the whole plane ride, our plane had said, when we land, we're gonna go to Moulin Rouge. And Taylor was like hyped, and I, for some reason, I don't know, like the whole time I was like, I don't know why she thinks it's a roadblock for her. I feel 100% confident that it is going to be something for both of us, but I'm not going to speak that out loud and allow that to be out in the universe. So I'm just going to hope and pray. But I wasn't shocked when I got there because I was expecting that. But then, and I truly was thinking about you and Todrick, and I was like, okay, I got these people that I was like, I also want to show them this moment. I'm excited. I was like, or at least when it happened, I would say I was in the moment. I was just more doubting. I was like, okay, I have to figure this out because they are pretty explicit for at least the dance challenges. When because I asked them a lot of questions about it prior to when we had the time with production, and they're like, no, like you don't have to look good. You have to hit all the steps in the required time, basically. And then if they tell you to smile, like we want that stage presence or whatever, but like that it doesn't have to look good because I was like, okay, I know it's not going to look that good.
Is that not the same as looking good? You have to hit all the steps in the allotted time, and you have to smile, and you have to perform.
Well, as a new expert on dancing from my season of watching Dancing with the Stars for my first time ever, I do feel like there is all of the posture or the smoothness and the heel toe or toe heel, I forget what it's called, but they always talk about Derek always says some line like that cracks me up, and
it's
all those things.
the demented lines and heel leads. Heel leads are
heel
bad.
leads. There you go. Demented lines. Exactly. So there's all these other things.
Heel leads are bad and toe lifts are good.
There we go. Thank you. So that and the posture and the fluidity of the movements, because I'm a very stiff person, like naturally. And luckily, I think this dance had a lot of stiff movements that didn't impact as badly, but it was a lot. And so I was really glad. However, the thing I would say that felt like the time I was more emotional that they didn't show, that I think it was both of us, was the in Greece, like waiting with Taylor, because there was, so much more emotion that like for whatever reason they decided to turn one of the best episodes into one of the least interesting episodes, given what they cut out in Greece. But the actual the conversations that happened at the vote, and then when we were in the car, and then when we got to that roadblock, like in general, it was always Taylor's and I agreement that like, hey, like if there's a super clutch moment, it would probably fall on me to do the roadblock just because I have more experience in like that sort of situation. And she was like, I was like, are you sure? She's like, no, I got it. And I was like, I believe you. Like you got it and you have to do it. And then so even when I'm sitting there and people are leaving and we get there last, but all the teams are there except one, and we see the teams leaving, and then it's me and Eric and we're just talking. And I was like, and I really like Eric. I was like, yo, like I'm really glad we got to race together, and like whatever happened, shake his hand. But like I wish the camera was there to show like I was not stressed. Once everyone left and it came down to just me and Eric, I was just not stressed. I was like, no, like she's coming, like I just believe it. And then obviously she did. And so when we got into the taxi, like we sprinted to the taxi, but when we got into the taxi, like I couldn't stop crying because I was just like so proud of her and for pushing through in that moment, clutch, and then just excited like for that was just such a impactful, special moment that sad not to be able to see it, but I know it's something that really will stick with me forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I was so locked in that moment too. We get in the car and our camera guy turns around and they're like, Kyland, what do you think? And he's just crying. He like can't get any words out. And I'm holding his hand and I'm just like, let's just get to the pit stop. Like, let's just get to I just want to get there. We'll feel the feelings later. And he's like, you were great. And just crying. Like, it was sweet. It was really sweet, but also high intensity because, you kind of snap back into game mode after the tears fell. And I remember you saying out loud, kind of, we're like, is there, like, how far are we? Can Tucker and Eric get out of their taxi and run and beat us there? And I was like, no, stay in the taxi. We're staying in the taxi. We're almost there. We're staying in the taxi. And obviously we all cleared the map before Tucker and Eric got there. But watching that episode back and seeing that they did get out of the taxi and try running, we were like, it's nice to know that we did have some padded time between when we were on the mat and when they got there. Like, plenty of minutes.
And seeing that, I felt validated that I was, because I was looking back the whole time. She's like,
literally looking
don't
over
look back. And I was like, no, like once I stopped crying, I was just looking back the whole time. And like, even which was its own like terrible moment because I was like, I'm looking back as if me seeing them, there's anything we can do about it because we're not going to outrun them. So
Yes,
it was just
yeah, every
a
time you
terror.
look back, you turn into a pillar of salt. You have to keep your eyes on the road.
True. Fair. Thank you. Preach.
Incredible.
There's the word.
Incredible. Oh my God. I think for me it was the probably like the Greek alphabet was probably like my clutch moment, which is something that but I didn't feel like, I don't know, that whole episode I was just so angry and sad for so many reasons. So being able to pull out the Greek alphabet and get to the end with you was like, that was a really nice, like, I felt whole at the end of that because I just felt like I had to make decisions that didn't make sense, that made sense but didn't feel good. Not only at that point, but at so many points in the race leading up to that. And yeah, I just like, I was really feeling the emotional weight of that for the entire leg, and then being able to just focus and do something that I'm good at. Like, I'm good at language, I'm good at words, I'm good at word games like that. And to be able to pull it out for me, that was just like, it felt good for me. Um, but another similar moment, I'm not a puzzle girl. Like, puzzles are not my strength. I don't enjoy puzzles. So when we got to the second, like the building, the clock tower building that I had to do in, where were we, Italy? Um, I liked the second part of it, the fake jousting. That was super fun. But the building of the puzzle, the whole time I'm like, this is Kyland's thing. Like, this is not my strength. I'm not built for this. And like, now I'm the one doing it. But I was super determined to not push us back. And I finished it and got us through. And we did the next piece of that whole leg and finished it and got to Paris after that. So that was really good. But I think, like, I don't know. I think dancing, and I understand why this is your answer, like your personal thing, Kylan, but yeah, dancing at Moulin Rouge, there's a moment in the episode, you're talking to the can dancers, the girls, and like, I can just see like the fear in your face when you're like, this is my nightmare, but like, I gotta do it for me. I gotta do it for us. Like, we're gonna do this. And I love how supportive the girls were of you because I know how scared you were. And I was probably still like putting the red lipstick on the other side of the stage. Like, we couldn't have that moment as a team to really come together. The next time we're united, we're literally dancing on stage. And there was just this moment when we finally got it on our third try. I wish the camera like was soaking in that moment more of you crying because there was a lot more of like hands on the face and like the if you fell in love with Kyland after watching that moment, like I wish they really just let it breathe because it was so beautiful and I know how scared you were. I know on almost every leg of the race how afraid you were of that. And so just like being with you for that just felt really good to like be supportive in that moment for you. That felt really good as a partner.
Thank you guys for sharing those moments. That was probably my favorite moment between you two, as a viewer at home, because Taylor, you were so supportive, and I could see Kyland was overcoming his biggest fear in this experience or on this experience, if you will. So I
The
loved
juggling
watching.
was great too.
You
I
said
think the juggling in Budapest was the first time where we like got to do something together and nail it and like
yeah.
Yeah, you guys killed
succeed.
that.
That
You
was the
guys
first time that was the first time that we're like, we weren't fighting for our lives. We weren't
Yeah.
struggling and like clawing from the back. Like we got to jump and be comfortable for once.
True, yeah, because that was the episode, that was leg 4, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys were on that ladder train, with some other teams, and from week to week, every team that was originally in that last train had gone home. So, well, really, yeah, Angela
Yes.
and Lexi, and then Turner and Megan. So it was just you guys, and it was Kat and Alex. And then I remember Rubina was on that train with you, the latter train to get to Hungary, as well as Chelsea. And so we were not anticipating that we would see you guys. But not only did we see you, Kyland was there for 2.5 seconds, and then you guys were gone and you left all these teams. So I'm sure that felt really, really good. And it puts you guys for the first time since the first leg in, I guess, in a position where you could be a little comfortable. Probably not super comfortable because you never want to get too complacent in these games. But that was really cool as well. Also, my microphone. I'm so sorry, guys.
You're fine, girl. No worries.
Yes, it's okay, Hannah Banana.
And then as soon as I mute and Simone unmutes, you can hear it again. It's me.
I love it.
What is wrong with the Chaddha's hardware? Yeah, so major props to you guys. Something else that I want to talk about is your guys' communication. And I don't know if you guys felt like they're only showing maybe our moments where communication is faltering a little, or they're only showing our moments where perhaps we are nearing that point where we're becoming impatient with each other and they're not showing any of our positive, triumphant moments. Or was that just representative of you guys, and how did it improve? Because I definitely noticed that as a viewer, it seemed as though your communication was getting better from week to week.
I'm obsessed with this episode. I'm sorry. I love this.
You
No,
guys, I'm so sorry, viewers at
it's
home.
totally.
I love it
apologize.
so much.
I feel that's another place where I do feel frustrated about. And I understand maybe it's the storytelling the story that they wanted to tell was that quote improvement, because that was I think how we were, whatever people saw at the end was how we were most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe Taylor could step in a little differently, but I think you know, there were so many moments where we had talked beforehand about like expressing how we're feeling. So I think there's a lot of moments where I would see, commentary and understandably people would watch and be like, oh, like, they're just like being snippy or passive aggressive or whatever. And I think that like the key difference between, irritation that is being expressed in a productive, sense versus like not is the fact is, disclosing that information. And we would be pretty upfront, like in whether in the car, whether walking, like, hey, I'm really frustrated right now. I'm frustrated at the situation. I'm frustrated at you for this. And we'd be able to talk through these things on the fly. And that's why we could move through. Like even when we were in the back, we were much more annoyed at being in the back and the logistics that kept us in the back than we were at any point like actually concerned, because we're like, no, like anytime that any obstacles that we face, even if it's frustration between us, like we figure that out really quickly. And that was just something that they decided not to show until the end, maybe. And I think that, there was, yeah, I think that was just something that how we did so much of that work beforehand. And I think that's why we were able, even with our newer dynamic and our, the tumultuous levels of our relationship in that we're going on during the race, as far as like being in that high stress, difficult environment, were heavily mitigated by the fact that we had done so much prep beforehand to talk about, hey, how are we going to navigate conflict when we are both feeling stressed? And then we implemented those practices really well.
Yeah. And also, I'm just going to say, I'm so sick right now and I am on so much medicine. So if my eyes look like they're glazing over, it's because I am on, I have so much Tylenol in my system right now. There's so much happening. Anyway, so, yes, our communication. I think that was something that I'll speak for myself because you just spoke, Kylan, but like walking away from the whole experience, I was just so excited to like watch this back because I really felt like we were a really great example of how to have conflict, either like through like, your own self-doubt or frustration at leg design or performance, and how to identify where that conflict stems from, identify when you're unfairly putting it on your partner, when I'm unfairly putting it on Kyland, and like how to resolve that conflict. We were really good, and I was really proud of us because we were very, very good about acknowledging, addressing, and moving on in a better place. And so I think I walked away and I was like, wow, like I'm so excited for that to be shown. Like, I'm really excited for the ups and downs. I hate ups and downs. I hate saying that when it comes to relationships, but like, I'm really excited for people to see that a good and healthy relationship is not never fighting or never having conflict. It's finding conflict and being forthright and addressing it and navigating it and walking away healthier. Like, I don't think there's a single argument or conversation that we had, or I'll say like intense conversation that we had, where we didn't walk away stronger and closer. And so then you watch the episode and it just ends at like the peak of the conflict at some moments, and you're like, well, that's disappointing. Like, it's really disappointing because I mean, we both were so just like happy and proud of how we navigate a lot of these situations. So, I mean, look, at the end, did our communication improve? Yeah. Like, we still use those tools today, which is awesome. And maybe, for the sake of the show, you have to start at like a more difficult point and then show more positives so that you have the progression in the end. But I think at the very least, what I was really getting at, and full disclosure, I haven't actually watched the last episode in full. I've skipped around and watched some bits and pieces here and there. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, but like, I still stand by what I said at that final mat. And I was like, we found our friendship within the relationship again, because we had a really good friendship prior. And I think in us dating, we would just like let the friendship go to the wayside. And so in finding, the romance and like knowing the romance exists, but then rediscovering that friendship again, I think that was just such a huge gift isn't the right word, but it was just like a really big win also.
And we definitely want to get more into that towards the end of this episode. So thank you for sharing, Taylor. I do want to kind of go back to the W turn, because Kyland, you made a comment, maybe 30 minutes ago that was very interesting. You said they took what should have been the most interesting episode and they turned it into something quite uninteresting based on what they left out. And I don't know if you would feel comfortable sharing kind of the gist of what they left out, or if you feel like as a viewer something is missing that maybe would add more context to the W turn. I will say, as a viewer, I was a little confused by your guys' vote. I think it was the first vote for Izzy and Paige. So, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of give you the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to like the context. Whether the vote itself, coming in, we had guessed like, okay, this is probably how the vote is going to fall, is towards Jag and Jazz and towards Tucker and Eric, like it did. We had conversations with everyone at the airport prior to, so we kind of had an idea like, okay, at most, Joseph and Adam were never going to vote for Izzy and Paige because they had such a positive relationship. So we're like, at most they'll have one vote, so then they get two, and then everyone else votes for the Jag and Tucker. And so really, that's why we said like, hey, like this isn't, we had conversations with our crew about like, hey, we're doing this vote. Obviously we don't, and even acknowledging, that's what I think comes into frustration, where people are like, hey, like how is, Kyland, Taylor, especially Taylor, talking about wanting to support women but then not. And for that, it brings me like, there's 2 points that I really come to. It's like, one is we did acknowledge that kind of uh counter speak, double speak there, as far as like, hey, yeah, like we're gonna do this vote even though it's not ideal, because Taylor has mentioned how she wants to see the women succeed, but at the same time, we don't anticipate them going home because of this. So it's not going to have a long-term impact, because based on our conversations, we thought Jack and Chelsea were going to vote also for Jag and Jazz and not for us. So then we didn't expect them to go home. And also we weren't counting on, a vote for us from Jag and Jazz. So then the second part of that is like, at the end of the day, we understand why they couldn't show this part, but it was just like, this is a frustration at a system that is not our responsibility to fix, because it's already been, they have done so much work to it. The barriers have been broken in The Amazing Race. For us in the Cookout in season 23, we're looking at 20 something years of not having a black or having 2 black people, I believe, get past the halfway point of the game prior to us. So no black winners and not even getting far. So I remember having very heartbreaking conversations with Tiffany in the Big Brother house. Like, wow, like it sucks to feel like we have to take on this responsibility of not putting our own interests first because this game and society have been structured in a way that unfortunately we haven't been able to be, get our fair shake and been able to succeed. So, you know what? This is a sacrifice we're willing to make because this barrier hasn't been broken. In the race, they've broken many barriers. I won't say most because that could be broken down so many ways. But we've had women team winners. We've had so many powerful team women. So yeah, 3 obviously not as many, but I mean it's not like we're breaking this barrier of like the first. So we decided, hey, we want to acknowledge this as something that production needs to address, and we hope they do. And Taylor had a lot of commentary on that, like, with the crew, with everybody, seeing so few women there in general, in every aspect, and then watching women go home, and you do wonder if there's a connection as far as like not having enough women voices. But it was just like, hey, this is something that is unfortunate. However, we don't feel obligated to risk our chance at winning because that's unfair to us. We should be able to play like everyone else, the way that we wanted to play in Big Brother. It's like I want to play like everyone else, where we don't have to, like everyone else gets to make the decision that's best for them. So that's what we wanted to do in that moment, and that's where the vote came from, while acknowledging those greater issues. So I think that like that stuff, that's not what I was talking about, and making the episode less interesting. Even though it would have been great for them to show it, I think it would have been probably more productive and a little bit braver of them to show that conversation. Like, you know what? Yeah, we do want to do better, but I don't fault them for it because I understand why they wouldn't, or why they, wanted to focus the story on us as the players as opposed to them in that greater conversation. But there was so much back and forth conversations that allow more context, that's less confusing for viewers, both in terms of that personal decision and all the emotions that were felt there that were just kind of left out. And then even the dynamic of like, and I understand it's not, the focus isn't our story, but it's like we did have, certain situations, certain drama and obstacles along the race that like just, for all the teams, that the things that they picked to show, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They showed that when, Joseph and Adam were talking about this thing that happened to them, and or Jag and Jazz were talking about this thing, and they didn't even show that, and it's kind of, it was an interesting choices that were made, but that's that's how it goes with all the shows that are, I think they're doing their best to navigate so many different stories, and it just was, that's how my takeaway from the episode was like, wow, this is, I knew it was going to be lacking things, but it just, that's how I felt about it.
Yeah. Taylor, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I mean, like, to keep it as concise as possible, because this happened in March, and I'm kind of over it. Like, yeah, we pull the cards to do the double U-turn vote. I literally, like, I'm looking at Izzy and Paige's card, and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, it doesn't feel good. I don't like this. But when Kyle and I are talking about how we think the votes are going to fall based on what we were told, we don't anticipate them getting U-turned. So it's a shitty feeling doing it, but we're not expecting them to actually get U-turned. So it feels like a pretty safe burn vote, even though it doesn't feel good doing it, right? And then you have me, it looks like this whole, like, women, vote fuck women. And I'm like, that's kind of a disingenuous edit. And not disingenuous, incomplete is what I'll say. Because there is an entire, the explanation given on why Jag and Jazz U-turned us is because of a conversation that they overheard that was not shown in the episodes. And that conversation that happened was not between me and Kyland, it was between me and another player. And that conversation was specifically about, hey, like, I don't like that these women teams have gone home back to back. I'm in these containers. It feels like a sausage fest right now until the rest of the team showed up, the back half of the pack, who got U-turned on the first U-turn boards. All women. Oh, that sucks. Who did the U-turning? The male teams. Okay, so the boys should be the ones U-turned. And we didn't know it was going to be a double U-turn at that point. So we're referencing Tucker and Eric because everybody is like ready for Tucker and Eric to go home. So the reason that was given for us being U-turned is because of a conversation that was overheard that they then turned into something else and stood on at that U-turn vote. So Kylan gets into it with that team, and I'm explaining what the conversation was. So my whole explanation of what the incorrectly overheard conversation directly aligns with my frustration about just experiences on the race being a woman. I've already voted. I've already put my vote in, anticipating for this team that I don't actually want to put in jeopardy, but anticipating they'll be safe. And now it looks like a hypocritical move, even though I'm just doing what is the safest thing. So I don't have to burn any alliances, friendships, what have you, that we've made along the race. But, it's the game. It's like you do something that you think is going to keep you safe and like best mitigate the relationships that you have on the race. And then, something blows up and you have to try to defend yourself, but then it completely contradicts your own morals and values. So it's just like this mushroom cloud of anger and frustration. And I don't cry for nothing. I don't get upset for nothing. I don't have an emotional reaction out of nothing. So of course I'm going to respond with anger and tears and just every feeling that I have at once. So basically, fuck Athens. I'm never going back to Greece.
Oh no.
The only thing, sorry,
I
the
think
only
we're enough.
thing too, just because I think it's important, I think verbiage is important. You said right now something different in the sense that I don't want people to be confused and take that about, I think that the boys are the ones who should be U-turned. As I recall, still being able to be privy to some of that conversation, and Chelsea as well, mentioning like, it wasn't saying directly like, hey, let's U-turn these teams, as much as it was like, wow, this sucks that this is happening.
Yeah.
And I do hope that team gets slowed down and talking. And the overall conversation was, wow, it's a frustrating situation to be a woman in this specific race and see where that's becoming a disadvantage, and not and commenting on the stress of being like around almost all male crew and in production and all that. And so even I don't want to even give that ground unless I'm missing something about you guys talking about U-turning the guy teams, as much as it was just like talking about the previous U-turn and then expressing a separate general frustration about patriarchy and males and other things, more generally speaking.
That's exactly it.
Okay. Thank you guys for the clarification, because again, I was confused watching that. I obviously wasn't there, so I was missing, I'm sure, lots of pieces of the puzzle, and that's something that I voiced in Chat BCC. So I just wanted to give you guys the space to clarify that here as well for those who aren't part of Chat BCC. Something else that I want to talk about
should be. If you're not a part of Chat BCC, you most definitely should be. Great place, great time.
You should, however, the season is over, and so I don't know if you're gonna get very much from our group chats, but definitely join
Project Runway on there. And yes, and then sports games as well.
Okay, no, that's so fair. And then also Big Brother will be here sooner than we can say the alphabet, so join for that too. Something else before we let you guys go is I want to know what your guys' favorite challenge was, because you guys got the privilege of doing every single challenge. I mean, obviously not like the other leg of a detour, but you were there till the end. So, what was your guys' favorite comp?
I mean, probably like the things that I will never be able to do in any other circumstance ever again. So like rappelling down the Empire State Building is what, we're one of 30 people to have done it now. I think they said in the episode. That's crazy.
26,
And like,
unless.
that's crazy. So probably that. Kyle's gone to skydiving school, so he's jumped a few times before, but I never have and probably never will go skydiving again unless I somehow end up on The Amazing Race again. Like, that'll be just in that space, one and done, rappelling in that way, one and done. And it was so short-lived, but man, Sesame Street might be cooler than rappelling down the Empire State Building. Like that was a really special thing.
Very nostalgic. I agree. Taylor, are you more of a Cookie Monster or an Oscar the Grouch?
Oscar the Grouch. I'm an introvert. Give me my trash can. When I hide away, I'm good. I'll pop out when I feel like it.
Okay, so if you had to cast Cookie Monster with someone from our cast, who are you giving that title to?
Oh,
Kyland.
yeah.
Kyland does Cookie
Yeah.
Monster?
All he does is eat sweets. He loves sweets.
You do?
Yes, every time. Oh my God, Costco. Where else do we go? Pavilions. You go straight for those sugar cookies with the sprinkles on them. You make laps. You're eating popcorn right now.
Make laughs. I'm so dead.
Who would you say, Hannah? I'm curious.
I genuinely did not know that you liked sweets. I don't think I've ever seen you eat a sweet.
That's
Or
so
the
interesting.
skydiving school.
Yeah, or that. Hello. I'm learning very new things about you.
I have a question.
Sorry. I was just gonna cast Simone as Cookie Monster. I think Simone would be a really cute Cookie Monster.
Well,
I'd love to be
I
Elmo.
was going to say, Kyland, do you know how to skydive like independently? Like, if you had a parachute on you, would you be able to jump out by yourself, or would you need somebody to go tandem?
Yeah, so skydiving school is they're all individual. So you jump with like an instructor jumps along with you. The first time they're like holding your hand basically, but like a strap on your arm. Then the second time they're like across from you, and then the third time they're like, and then the rest of them they're just across from you, or you have to chase after them sometimes. So it's
Air tag,
so
literally.
yes, so yes.
Wait, so you
Yes.
know how to like jump out of a plane and skydive on your own?
Yeah. I mean, what really is like, you know what's crazy? I was gonna say it really is just jumping out and like pulling. It's actually insanely the balancing is the crazy part because you think I feel like you do so much practice, and then the first time you jump out, the wind is like it is very specific body positioning that you need to be in. Otherwise, you'll just spin or flail around, which I had happen, and it's very scary. And so it is. So yes, is I would know I would be able to, and it's yeah, and there is a learning curve to it.
There's a
Wait,
very
that's-
specific sound when you jump or like when you fall out of the plane. It's like a suction, like
Yes.
it's so. Who was it? I think Joseph was the first to jump out of the plane, and like when he went out, I was like, oh, like that's the sound. Oh, and then you can't even think the next person's going down, and then next thing you know, you're like, all right, here we go. I'm falling through the clouds. It was really cool.
It sounds like a vortex, right?
Yeah.
like a vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Simone and I went skydiving at the beginning of this year. We went to Hawaii and we got to do like cliff jumping and zip lining and skydiving and all the things. And there's a video of me and Simone going skydiving because we had the little GoPros. And I fear my adrenaline might be broken because I was literally just on the side of the plane like this. And he was
No.
like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. And then we jump and I was like, this is nice. So
I believe that. That sounds right.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
yeah.
My dog.
Yeah, well,
How old were you when you went to the skydiving school? Sorry, I'm so zoned in on
no,
this
it's fine.
skydiving
I think it
school.
was I want to say it was like 2017, 2018, maybe probably 2018.
no
I
way.
would check.
Oh,
No,
wait,
you're
that's
not
kind of a
kidding.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
on Price is
I'm
Right.
like
He was
thinking, like, yeah, so
Around
you're not.
that time, yes,
What
exactly.
other lore do you guys have? Like, watch one of you guys be like, I don't know, tightrope walker or something.
Listen, I don't know. Kylan's been around for a long time, so I'm sure there are lots of stories.
Oh,
Wow.
he's
Fair,
pushing
fair.
35. Pushing
I
35.
know.
Yeah.
A decade apart.
Gosh.
Okay.
No.
So anyway,
my
I feel
mo-
like
my-
everybody
my-
is a part
I
of the
share.
35 club.
wait. Yeah, Kylan, can you share your favorite comp?
No, I think that I agree with what Taylor mentioned as far as like those moments. I have some gripes with the Empire State Building. That's another thing. even though, so I think it's amazing, and I'll be very happy about it, like someday when I can get past the gripes. But the after that night, after I think the finale, my niece had called me. She FaceTimed me, and she's like, cute little girl, and she just is like, "Oh, Cookie Monster knows your name? Like how?" And I was like, and she was like very fascinated, intrigued, and excited about it, despite the tone which she asked the question. And she,
She's so funny.
and so that made it pretty cool. I think that like really, like I remember in that moment being so excited, like whoa, like I was like, why is this more exciting than the building? But yeah.
I think even watching the episode back, I totally forgot that you scream, Cookie Monster said our names.
Mhm.
It was so
that was a
awesome.
really cute moment.
It was. I just so we like sort of touch on the final leg a little. We talked about the Empire State Building. We talked about Cookie or Sesame Street a bit. I don't really think there's much to say about Spandex House. You guys got some rolls of fabric. The fabric looked heavy, and I have since learned that those rolls of fabric way more than me. How in the world would me, Simone, Natalie, Rubina, or Christine have even begun to touch that challenge?
And I was yelling about that
Well, Natalie has said
entire run from like the whole push. It was just like, I'm literally saying this. I'm looking at I'm like, this is humiliating. This is so humiliating. How am I supposed to have a chance here? And then Kyland, we literally started with an equal amount of about equal amount. No. I had more than 3 whatevers on my cart or whatever. And Kyland just kept turning around and like taking more off, and I was like, this is humiliating. I hate this. And I start screaming. I'm like, I hate this so much. How am I supposed to be better than anybody else? I was like, Joseph and I could probably pass us right now because I can't push this. Like, how is this fair to anybody? God forbid if there were other double female teams in this leg, if they were in first place, they'd be passed up by all the other teams. Like, this is humiliating. But of course, watching the episode back, that can't be in there because it's a critique on the show. But I don't know. I just have this weird relationship with like loving having done The Amazing Race, loving having done it with Kyland. Like, I would go back a million times and do it again and again and again. Like, I love the experience of doing The Amazing Race, but those moments when you're like, this is unfair to the point where it is humiliating and embarrassing and like you just feel so demoralized, that's where I'm like, you gotta say something. You gotta say something so somebody can hear you, you know? But anyway.
Yeah. It looks brutal, that's for sure. I understand why you felt embarrassed. Watching you though, I just felt for you more than anything. If that's the
Yeah,
one
you powered through.
Yes. You guys powered through the entire leg. I will say you guys were really strong during the crossword puzzle at the end. Taylor, you knew your stuff. Kyland, you were moving your finger quickly and also kind of helping her out. It showed that you guys had been diligent about studying throughout the entire race, which Simone and I have had the privilege of talking to every single team as they've been eliminated. And some teams were not studying. I don't want to say like the teams that ended up in the final leg, but some teams would just go back to their hotel room, eat and watch TV, like did not review, didn't talk about the day. So that discrepancy is interesting. Wait, hold, please. Plane above the Big Brother house 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're back. With the final leg design, it was interesting because and I voiced this to Jag and Jazz as
or
well.
the opposite.
And Adam. What?
The
No,
opposite.
you said interesting. I was like, maybe the opposite.
Well, you know what I mean interesting in a Hannah Chaddha kind of way. You know what I mean. Wait, hold please for plane.
Great. Hold for snotty nose.
Anyway, the last thing I was gonna say about the final leg design.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
It's okay.
So sorry.
It was a little frustrating that there wasn't really like a navigational component because that is probably where some teams could have made up time. Other teams would have potentially like that could have been a detriment to their race. Instead, because you guys were in taxis the entire time and nothing was really skill based, it's almost like the order in which you guys got to the very first challenge kind of determined the order in which you checked in. So that is my critique of the final leg. The final leg was interesting, I really mean it wasn't that interesting. But that's all I really have to say about the final leg. Do you guys have anything you want to say about the final leg before we kind of get your final thoughts and reflections on the season as a whole?
I mean, I think I actually don't have an issue because I think a lot of seasons take out a navigational component for the final leg. So I don't mind that as much. I think just the fact that there's not a competitive element of the final leg. Like I think that, every season I look at, there's something to figure out. There's some sort of task that is like, an opportunity for people to compete side by side. And like, even when I think about Empire, it seems like for whatever logistical reason, they didn't have this kind of my gripe with it. They didn't have it. They weren't ready for us to be there to be able to rappel. So like you notice me and Taylor have to wait for Jag and Jazz to finish rappelling before we can start. Where Adam and Joseph got to start while we're going because they had set up the other side for them to already start. So it was like, wait, like why couldn't if we only got there 2 minutes after them, why did we have to wait 20 minutes for us to be able to start instead of just being able to start at the same time? And like, me, I always my timer's running. So I'm like, I know how fast we rappelled. So I'm like, if we got to start the rappelling at like, we still have made up those 2 minutes that we got there later. And, I think just as like I'm competitive and I know Jag and Jazz are competitive. So it's just like, I would expect them to say, the same thing that I'm going to say, which is like, hey, if that difference made, I think that we win. And I think that for them, like, I would expect them to say the same thing. Like, hey, if that difference made, we still would have won. That I wouldn't expect. I have talked to them about this, so I wouldn't like, I wouldn't expect anything different. But I feel like not having any opportunity for us to race.
Yeah.
Because the taxis is normal, but like not having, like I was waiting. Taylor did the last roadblock, like the both the puzzle in Milan and the one that we had in Paris because we were like, we know that I think something like 5 out of the last 6 or so races have had a roadblock in the finale. And all of a sudden they decided, hey, we're not going to have one this time. But we didn't know that. And once again, maybe that was budget. I don't know. But for whatever reason, so we didn't have that opportunity to like. We were really excited, like to have like a face off of like, yo, let's have this roadblock situation. So even when we lost that time from us having to wait for Jag and Jazz to finish their rappel before we could start, I was like, it's fine. It's like 20 minutes, 19 and a half minutes. And I'll make that up in a roadblock. It's fine. So let's go. And even when we were on our way to from Spandex or from the FIT to the final place where we did the crossword, I remember we're negotiating with our driver, like, hey, like I know you normally said you'd get off at this time. Would you mind staying a couple extra hours? We'd probably have 3 more hours today. Like we still have to do a roadblock, we still have all these things. And he's like, yeah, no problem, because he was amazing, our driver Luca. But then we get there and we get there as Jag and Jazz are pulling off. And we open the clue and it's like, oh, open for your final clue. And we're like, oh,
it didn't even make sense. Like
there's no
sure.
It's over. We're like, oh, it's over and there's nothing. And then like as Taylor's mentioned a lot of times, like she was taking, all these intense people commented, they would see her taking notes at all the pit stops. And then we get there and they're like, oh yeah, like, what's a roadblock? Like what's the task only one person can finish? It's like a roadblock. And we're like, oh, so we didn't really need to take, there's no difficult, the most difficult element was the technical difficulties. But so I think that was that was kind of the letdown because we really wanted it, but also, I can understand, if we won, we probably would have less complaints about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, second to last question, because the 3 of you have been on 3 shows, if I'm not mistaken. So Kyland, between Big Brother, The Challenge, and The Amazing Race. I was like, what's the third show?
3 of
and
us.
The Amazing Race. Rank them from hardest to easiest, concisely.
Big Brother is the hardest show because of the mental emotional aspect, hands down. I'd say then the race and then the challenge. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then Taylor, for you, I'm going to add a little extra. I'm going to add Miss USA to
Oh, okay.
Big Brother, Reindeer Games, Amazing Race, and yes, I'm counting Reindeer Games, and Miss USA. Rank them hardest to easiest.
Okay, Big Brother hardest for obvious reasons. Second hardest. Oh, Amazing Race. Yeah, Amazing Race, Miss USA, Reindeer Games. And Miss USA being second to last, not because it is not hard, because it is hard, but like USA is doing things I'm already really good at. Like those are my natural strengths. I didn't have to train hard to be successful at competing in a pageant. I had to work really hard to earn my win on Big Brother. I had to work really hard with Kyland to earn second place on Amazing Race. Reindeer Games was like playing board game with friends.
What about Reindeer Games? Justice for Reindeer Games. No, I'm kidding.
Also,
I would.
I just wanted to say congratulations, Taylor, for hosting the Miss Teen USA pageant. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Is it this finger or this
Oh
finger?
my God, stop. No, just
They
don't.
were trying to teach me. They were trying to teach me earlier.
Don't do it. No men, unless you are queer, should do it. I don't want to see anybody do it. And if anybody is saying that it's clock it, get out my face. It does not mean clock it.
No, it's different fingers for different things.
Oh my God, is that what they're saying?
Yes.
This is 8, right? Because it's sign language. And then isn't this clock?
What? No, how about okay? No. I think officially, I think what we do is we give this back to the queer Black and brown people in the ballroom scene. We give it back because we have just completely destroyed everything that it is right now. Saying different fingers mean different things. No. It is a small applause popularized by Laomi, the legend, the icon of the ballroom scene. We give it back to the ballroom girls. We give it back to those divas because it has become bastardized in the modern world. And that is my soapbox moment.
We'll give it back to the ballroom girls. We'll go back to sorority snaps.
Yeah, bring back a sorority snap. That is inaccessible simple for everyone. Yes.
And also, Hannah, how would you rank?
Oh, Big Brother is the hardest thing I have ever done in my whole entire life. Then The Amazing Race, and then medical school. Yeah. Huh? Oh, for sure. I think if you can do Big Brother and you can do The Amazing Race, you can be a neurosurgeon if you want to.
Nope, don't say that. Think about all the people on Big Brother.
I do think that.
All the people who've been on Big Brother. Every single one.
No. I said if you do Big Brother and you do well, not if you do Big Brother and you go home night 1. No offense to the people who have gone home night 1. And you also have to keep in mind, like, we wouldn't send you into an operating room with no training. Like, assuming that you would receive the level of training that you need, if you can succeed on something like Big Brother and Amazing Race with the proper training, I absolutely think you could be a neurosurgeon or whatever you want to be. And I think because The Amazing Race has been airing, a lot of people at the hospital have just like recognized me or been like, oh, loved you on Big Brother, loved you on Amazing Race, or like, oh, we think this team's going to win Amazing Race. And of course, that receives a lot of question marks from people who aren't familiar. They're like, wait, who are you and how does this patient know you by name and what are they talking about? So then, of course, I'm like, oh, well, I do this thing on the side. And they're like, oh, I could never do that. That sounds so hard. And I'm like, I don't think you could either. So, yeah. Anyway, that's that.
Real.
Very last question. Because you guys, also, I forgot that it was December. And I have my surgery boards on Friday. And it's Wednesday. So I do have to go pretty soon. But my last question for you guys is, what is one thing you learned about yourself from this experience? And what is one thing that you guys were able to take from your experience doing this together? And I really want to, because we've been kind of loosely talking about it throughout this episode, I really want to challenge you guys to give us a different answer than communication, if that's where your minds were going. But it's a two-parter, and this will be the last question before we let you guys go.
The first part is learn about yourself.
Mm, so I struggled a lot on the race because I wanted to be good at everything. And I wanted to like succeed and dominate at everything. And I had a partner who is good at most things. No, excellent at most things. And, having my record that I've had in just competing across my life, it was hard for me to stand next to Kyland and feel like Kyland never challenged my abilities, but I definitely was like, I see myself as a winner. I know I am competent and good at things, and I don't feel like I am living up to that, either within this dynamic as a partner, a competitive partner, or yeah, specifically that. And I know I'm like probably my own worst. I don't think there's anything anybody could say about me that I haven't already said about myself. And it took a lot for me to really learn that like I don't have to be the best at everything to be successful and to be an equal partner. It's not about equality, it's about equity, at least within our dynamic. And I really had to learn how to not let the energy of feeling like a failure or letting a lesser teammate alter the energy between us. And a friend even texted me watching the show, and he was like, "You seem like you're over it." And I don't see you like really feeling happy and joyful until like Italy and Paris. And I think that it's true. Like that came from a place of feeling like being happy within our dynamic, but being hard on myself because of the choices that we had to make and feeling like I wasn't living up to what I wanted to be as a competitive strategic partner. And it's one thing to try to like process and grapple with that, but you also have to be present for your partner as well. So I really had to learn how to let go of anxiety and fear and self-doubt. And I think towards the end, I was able to do that because you see a happier Taylor towards the back half of the race. And I mean, that's due to like me overcoming my own self-doubt and also just having a really great partner by my side too.
Thank you. Kyland, do you want to talk about something you learned about yourself? Also, I'm just going to plug in my charger, so give me a couple seconds, but please keep talking. I'm sorry, I'm a mess.
No, take your time. I'm having trouble with that.
Excuse me.
Okay, then in that case, Taylor, do you want to answer the second part of the question while Kyland thinks about his responses?
Kylan, do you have any input on the second part? No? Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think I'd rather hear you.
I have to burp. Excuse me.
We are something. The four horsemen. Taylor sneezing.
Oh my God.
Taylor's like,
Wait,
"But
I know now it's coming in from like a black screen.
like,
We're expecting you to say.
I'm so sorry, viewers at home. This is
Taylor's high on cough syrup. She's blowing her nose. She's burping. Hannah's got a black screen, plugging her charger in with a wheezing microphone. Anyway, okay, so I think, yeah, like you said, Hannah, the obvious answer that we want to talk about is like strengthening our communication, because that is a goal that we set when we decided we would do the race, which meant being public about our relationship and like talking about good, bad, ugly with producers, with fellow castmates, being really vulnerable in that whole experience. And I'll be, oh God, I don't want to regret this, but fuck it. I'll be really vulnerable here. I hate opening myself up to people. I hate opening myself up to the public. I don't like letting people in. I don't like letting people close to me. I'm so choosy and selective about who I let get close to me, and I'm very quick to remove people if they move the wrong way. Like, I don't have tolerance for that in my life. Going on the race with Kyland meant being very vulnerable about the most sensitive thing in our lives. And I think something that changed within, maybe not within our dynamic, but like in being more open about our relationship with, production crew, people around us, there wasn't this like super guarded behavior out of fear when it came to talking about us. And it was actually really nice to let in friends that we have not let in before, and to actually seeing our relationship in action. And so I think like there was some positive movement and realizing like privacy doesn't mean fear. I think that's something that I had to learn throughout the entire process, and something that I've like grown to appreciate, because y'all know being in the public eye is not easy. It's not always fun and games. And I think that just letting in people that we love and care about to be able to see our dynamic was kind of freeing in a way that I didn't expect it to be.
That's a good response. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you
I
for
agree.
being comfortable enough to get vulnerable with Simone and I, as well as the people who will be watching this episode.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah, I'd say for me it was kind of realizing, I guess, like reaffirming, finding more stronger beliefs in a concept I heard someone say was that you can't control conditions as much as you can control decisions. And I think that like that was what we were doing on the race. And as all of you know, like there's so much, we can't control the conditions of the race and how uh but it's really just our preparation, of course, but then also just having to make decisions in the moment. And um that was, there was a value to our ability to make that decision going in, that like, hey, this is our format, this is our process for decision making at detours, at roadblocks, in that conflict. And that was something that we did well. So I think it's nice to like, these sort of shows are such an incredible, testing ground to, learn through, to have an experience with the hypothesis of like how important, decision making can be. And that's what we had here. So I think that just kind of affirming that in my mind, the importance of being able to make decisions and then just move with them, and quickly was, this was a ground where I got to have that experience and that concept extra validated and made concrete internally. That I think that's something that'll come with me moving forward.
Just to clarify, is that what you learned about yourself, or is that
Yeah,
pertains to
that's for
your
myself.
Oh, okay. What's interesting is I think most pairs, when Simone and I have asked them that question, have had some combination of those responses. Like one person says they really learned to work through their self doubt, which was kind of a variation of Taylor's response. And then the other partner would say something along the lines of Kylan, just being okay with not having control over everything, slash, I guess, being able to work through the things that you can actually control to the most optimal level. So I think it's interesting how we all had such different dynamics, but we still shared similar ish experiences. So last but not least, Kyland, what is one thing that, you learned about your guys' friendship, relationship, however you guys want to define it? And you most certainly don't have to define it on here. I honestly don't think that everyone should be entitled to that, but that's my humble opinion.
I would say that it's like progress isn't necessarily like linear. I will appreciate that and I'll agree with that. I think that we have the ability to, and the choice of deciding how much we share about this aspect of our life. And people, obviously because we put ourselves out there, they're going to ask questions and they can. But I would say, yeah, I think that yeah, progress isn't linear. Like um, there's so much that goes into the growth of any interpersonal relationship and dynamic, and that was uh I feel like that allowed having that set of frame of mind allowed for a lot of beautiful moments, and it allowed us to have things that for some people could take them minutes, or they understand naturally, and can take us a really long time, and then some things the vice versa that we just got and clicked in. And also, you know what the other one is, I think, about rising to the level of your preparation, like, or falling to the level of your preparation. There's like a quote about you either people don't rise to the level of their expectations, they fall to the level of their preparation. And I think that was something that we experienced for sure, not just in terms of like the logistical preparation for the race, but like the interpersonal communication side was like, hey, if we navigate when we're not in conflict and we plan, how are we gonna go through that process when we are, which I think people don't tend to do. When everything's happy, you don't want to talk about the challenges, and that's, I think, something we did very intentionally. I think that's something that we're both, much better for, both as individuals and like between us.
Awesome to hear. I think that is, I don't think it's me this time, guys, because the laptop was going even when Kylan was speaking. So, okay, no, now it is me. 1
Oh,
second, please hold. Taylor, I think it's you actually.
it has to be because I actually just opened the door so my dog can go potty.
This
Let's
whole time. No,
see.
I'm just kidding. It definitely has not been this whole time. This whole time it's been me or Simone, but who knows for sure.
Pre-Simone, yes.
No, I think that was a beautiful note to end this episode on. Simone, I know I've been yapping a lot, so I want to give you the chance to say anything to Kyland and Taylor or the viewers too.
You have taken the words out of my mouth, literally. I genuinely could not have said it better. And I do want to thank you both for coming onto the pod, again, sharing your vulnerability, being so introspective. I feel like as putting podcasting aside, we're just two people genuinely curious to learn about your story, and we both had the best time watching your guys' journey throughout the race. So again, we're honored to have been a part of the story because we love you guys and we were so honored to race alongside you guys. But it's so cool hearing you guys again share your thought process, the stuff that we didn't get to see, what you were feeling during the race. So thank you both.
Exactly what Simone said. Yeah, Simone, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Aw, tit for tat.
I'm so excited. I get to see Simone in 3 days, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, the
They
holiday.
all are too adorable. It's wild.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Super side note, Simone and I played RHAP Mafia last night. And
How was it?
you said what?
How was it? How'd it go?
It went well. I ended up winning along with Jerry from Survivor Heroes versus Villains and Australia something.
I don't know who that is. I don't watch Survivor, but yay, Hannah! Yay!
Yeah, let's go.
But
Hannah
that's
killed it.
that's besides the point, though, because Simone, I think, gave the best monologue in the history of just anything ever.
Oh, I'm watching
We
this.
were
Can't wait.
like, Simone was innocent. She wasn't part of the mafia, and I was the mafia. But Simone said
God.
something along the lines of, okay, guys, so I got this advice one time from my Uber driver, and my Uber driver said something about a cushion and also something about chores and something. I don't know what we're talking about.
I
But
got great
funny.
advice from my Uvu driver. He was great.
It
I
worked?
did see some comments saying, like, put him on the next or I was gonna say Real Housewives. Real Rob has a podcast. Yeah, put him on the next Mafia. Like, I wonder what he's up to. Again, 3 years later, and that advice
3
stuck with
years? I don't think you'll be
Yes,
fine.
because it's like basically he was saying how like if you are so passionate about the earth, right? About like clean trash. No, not clean trash. About like keeping the roads or keeping the sidewalks clean. Like you better be on people's case. You better be walking around with like a vest with a siren saying, "Hey, you pick that up." And so, the moment where you need a cushion to fall back on and you litter, nobody is going to suspect that you're the one littering. So you need to develop this cushion that you can fall back on, and you need to keep a spotless record so the moment that you do have something that taints it, nobody's going to guess you of anything. I heard that all from my Uber
Oh,
driver.
okay, that makes a lot more sense. I
I was
think
like, what did I say?
I think last night it was just a little fragmented because I was like, wait, where's the cushion? But anyway, it was very, very funny. And then at the very end, Keanu was like, Simone said something about her Uber driver and blah, 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 blah. So I actually think that was Simone's confession. And I think it's Simone. And I was like, what is going on?
Keanu led the charge on getting you out because of your Uber driver monologue.
No. Keanu said that and then ended up voting for someone else. I will break down the game to you because it truly was something. It was something.
Yes.
It was fun,
No,
though.
it was a great time. I was
We had a good
definitely
time.
thankful to be
I can't wait to watch.
and I never suspected Hannah once.
And Simone and I were the only two people who didn't get a single vote the entire game.
Wow.
Okay.
Get them on BB All Stars now.
Well, I don't know about that one. But
Stars. Put
Wait,
out
hear
the
me
you
out.
guys.
They upped the prize to $1 million.
oh wait, no. Taylor, I would play Big Brother again in a heartbeat. Like I would take a break from med school. I would come back. I've had this conversation with Kyland. I respect the game too much to consider myself an all-star. I would definitely go back for second chances. I think I would be the perfect candidate for you to see me older, wiser, not a child anymore. But I would rather see other people compete on All-Stars because I'm such a big fan of the show.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm a fan of the show and I have respect for it, and I have enough humility to kind of know where I should go. And that is not me being self-deprecating at all. I've been saying this.
No, I need you to get more realistic about
No.
yourself because what are you talking about, Hannah? Stop. Already, I'm annoyed by this. What are we talking about? Take Reindeer Games cast, throw it by the wayside. We already had a mini All-Stars, whatever. Throw it by the wayside. Replace every single one of those people in there with something. Hannah, you're in there.
Yeah,
I think
wait, also on the All-Stars, didn't they have like somebody who went home on like the first night? And
yes, I would have cast that All-Stars differently. Like that's me saying I would not have put probably
Well,
half.
now that you know their samples of who they're willing to call.
No, if they give me a call, yes, I would say yes.
Yeah,
I just
don't say that you're not an all-star. I don't. That's
I'm not. I'm not.
because there's the other things. Other people. Never mind. I won't say it.
I think that other people they've earned that title. They really have. But again, that's not how Big Brother casting always goes, as we saw by season 22. So we'll see. But that's just kind of my 2 cents. Anyway, thank you so much, Taylor and Kyland, for
Wait, I'm sorry. One more. Simone,
Yeah.
do you want to do any other reality shows or any other reality TV shows?
I would love to.
What do you want to do?
We're still recording. Derek, we're still recording.
That's.
Sorry.
I love him up here. Yeah.
Okay, are you okay? No, just stay. We'll be done in like 2 seconds. Hey, Derek.
Yeah, Simone, please, you gotta hear.
Hi.
Oh,
Continue.
I've always said.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you were just here.
Yeah.
Aww.
I just love the aspect of, I've always said this to Hannah, hanging out with a bunch of people in a house or in an island, some sort of forum. Just anything that like involves like hanging out with a giant group of people.
Simone, do you want to do a dating show?
Okay, I will say
We're African and Indian. That's not gonna happen.
if I got the chance to do The Bachelor, I've always said this, I would do it in a heartbeat. I think that it would be so fun since like I grew up watching the show, and who cares about the guy? Like who cares about The Bachelor? But I would just love to do it like for the experience. I would love to like shed a tear because why not? Like after a rose ceremony, I would really love to like get into it, you know? And then I would love to do Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I am manifesting that for you, Simone. I also think Simone would be great on Traders, however we can get her there, because she's so unassuming. So she would be the perfect joiner.
I think and I keep on telling Hannah how I would not want to do like a housewife show or any social reality show. Like I would love to do a strategic based reality show where there are like stakes involved. Like if we're competing with something and there are a lot of people, that is my only 2 criteria.
That's Big Brother or Survivor.
She wants to be Big Brother.
Oh, I was telling Hannah.
Mm-mm.
Well,
I don't want to ruin my sister's brain.
You would have had the same reaction for Ashley, right, Hannah? And look how that went. So
No, and she won.
yeah.
She won, and I'm so happy she won. That doesn't mean that Big Brother brings its fair share of traumas to anyone, regardless of how you place. And also, statistically speaking, you probably just won't win. Statistically.
But you could be the one.
Taylor, stop.
Maybe
No.
it's another show.
Simone, you are absolutely so capable. I just don't know if being in that house is worth it for everyone. But if that's something you truly want to do, I'm not your mom, and so you can make those decisions yourself.
I'm really not picky. As long as there's hanging out with people involved and stakes.
Okay.
Ooh, this laptop. Simone, who is that this time?
It feels like a summer night in the country.
Yes,
We're like in the backyard and the cicadas are chirping and we're having sweet tea and I don't know, hanging out.
If that were a show and there were stakes involved, that would be my jam.
Oh,
Just sitting in like the backyard. I don't know what we'd be doing, but there'd be like stakes involved. Like stomp all the cicadas or something.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Taylor and Kyland, for coming on the Royalty Podcast on the Heavy Crown Network. It was such an honor to get to talk to you guys about our shared experience on The Amazing Race Season 38. You guys are welcome to come back anytime you want. The invitation is always open. I think it's open. Sometimes I forget my English.
What's there to talk about? The show's over.
No, but like we recap other shows as well. Like at one point, Big D was doing Drag Race, and we're gonna do Traders, and you can come back for Big Brother or the next season of The Amazing Race. Literally, whenever you want to come back, you're welcome to. So thank you again. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and look out for our final episode of recapping The Amazing Race Season 38 tomorrow with Jag and Jazz. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.